Good evening, everybody. This is my review on the BeaverCraft wood carving kit. It's a three-piece set. Got the gouge, which I haven't used yet, so further review will be happening on this tool. You got the hook knife, which is the main reason I initially bought the set. And there is the knife. Actually a very good, very sharp knife. I accidentally got myself, and while carving this, my thumb got a little bit too close, and I got myself there too. Okay. They come sharp out of the box. I saw another review on this, and indeed, they were correct. Comes the good sharp edge. These are made in Ukraine. A lot of good quality blades and armor and things like that, like medieval armor, comes out of the Ukraine. Now, regardless of the political situation and where you stand, I think Zelensky sucks. Just gonna say, I'm not for Putin either. I want peace over there, regardless of any of that. Okay, good stuff is made in the Ukraine, from what I can tell, at least when it comes to metalwork. So I can't really testify to much else. But I will say that these blades are actually pretty dang good, considering I paid about 44 bucks last night on Amazon Prime. They got shipped to me late this afternoon, and this evening I've been carving away. Now, in context here, I've had a bunch of spoons I've been kind of working on just out of scrap material. I've had this guy used to look like this guy. This guy didn't have the indentation. I was able to do such on both of these. And this one looks rougher. It feels rougher. This one at least feels smoother on the inside. Now, with little guys like this I was playing around with, I used to use Milwaukee box cutters. And the Milwaukee box cutter is a good replacement for this, except that this actually is a longer blade. It stays sharp for a while. It is now halfway dull. Let's see if we can get good light. You can kind of see from the lighting here that I beat this thing up a little bit tonight. Yeah, you can see that. So I will have to resharpen it, but unlike the Milwaukee box cutter blades, which are disposable and short, and quite frankly, I just don't want to put the time into them to restrop them and do all that. If I was doing just leather work, maybe I would consider doing that. But even when I was doing leather work all the time, I still replaced my box cutter blades, because the thing is, time is money. If you want to spend a bunch of time stropping old blades, you can, but it just didn't make enough sense. And sometimes I would even accidentally break the tips off those things. Now this tip, I don't think is breaking anytime soon. And overall, it's a pretty good knife to use. It has, I believe, an ash handle, they said. It's, it feels good. It does feel good to carve with. Now, your fine carving is going to be this portion here, but your aggressive carving is going to be right about here, which is exactly why this still has a better edge and this part doesn't. Now, the fact I'm even touching this with my bare hand, I couldn't have done out of the box. That's how sharp these things came. This was mega sharp. Like, I would be afraid to get poked with this thing. Now, I play around making other knives out of saw blades, and I've got them fairly sharp. This is very dull. I'm not afraid of even the sharpest blades I made, which will cut leather. This thing, I can only imagine getting stabbed in the rib cage with something like this. This is a shank, okay? And it's a very sharp shank at that. It definitely came out sharp. So other reviews were 100% correct, okay? Now here's the hook knife. Now you can tell if you're, I'll see if I can get this close enough for you guys to see in a meaningful way. You can kind of tell the edge is getting a little bit dull, specifically in this area right here, which still I'm afraid to even, like, I mean, that can still cut me, all right? But yeah, this part's still, oh, it's even sharper, okay? But it's hard to carve with this end right here. Now, there is another version of this. There's another kit where there's just a hook knife, only with a much sharper tip on it. So right here, it actually would kind of, like, it'd be more like that. Like this whole section would be gone. It would just be pointy right, you know, like so. I'm going to get that as well. That set comes with another one of these. I'm not trying to get extra knives. But, you know, that set's like 30 bucks. This set here I got, it's about like 44 with free shipping. And it wasn't overnight shipping intentionally. It just happens to be that Prime is that good, okay? I can just tell, without having used this gouge yet, this is a nice handle, okay? This feels good. I've seen videos where they're basically, you know, pressing as such, carving the outer round edge of bowls or whatever, but also gouging the inside. You'd probably want to gouge the inside of the bowl first and then use this on the outside. If you're not doing wood turning, I don't do wood turning. I don't have a lathe. So yeah, these are definitely older style wood tools, but a lot of, you know, wood crafters of today still use old traditional tools. I recently acquired, if I can find it right here behind here, it's a Stanley 12-101, this little planer here, which actually significantly smoothed out this war club I'm working on. Like, I'm surprised that this came like straight from the shop, already pretty dang sharp. But even this, I've actually, there's like a corner of it that's a little bit chipped because I was a bit aggressive. I'm aggressive and hard on my tools. So the reason this knife is so, I don't want to say chewed up, but definitely dulled, definitely like dinged in certain parts, is because of my aggressive cutting methods. So it's not fault of the blade. Really, any sharp, good, high carbon blade is going to suffer under my usage from time to time, okay? This one here, I would blame this not on the, not on the red oak that I was kind of playing with. No. Or even this white oak. I believe it's white oak. This cleaned more nicely than I expected. These are curly maple. Like, when they're finished, if I finish them properly, they're gonna look really nice, okay? Curly maple is a wonderful, wonderful wood to mess with. I love it. I really do. And I've seen some very beautiful work done. I've done a couple, you know, projects that are beautiful using curly maple with wood dye. Now, but in addition to being maple, which maple is already hard to begin with, also I'm not using a vise. See, I don't have a wood table with a vise to hold these in place while I do all my stuff. That's why, you know, or rather, you know, that happened and why this kind of happened right here, okay? I need a better setup, and I will eventually have a better setup. So that, if you don't have the setup just right, your tools will suffer as a result. So, like, if I had a proper setup for this guy, the chip on this wouldn't be there. So eventually there's going to come a time in the foreseeable future where I'm going to have to get proper sharpening stones and blocks to put different grits of sandpaper on, so I can properly, you know, using an angled sharpener, take blades like that off my plane, and any bigger planes like a Stanley number 4, which is the next plane I'm getting. Okay, and of course any of these, and just do proper sharpening. I've always been using angle grinders for my stuff and belt sanders. It's the cheap, quick way out, but for stuff like these, I'm gonna go a little more traditional. There's a sharpening tool where you can actually like strop it like this. I'm being very careful, obviously, but of course, if I went that way, I'd be cutting my finger open. But you can actually like put it on its side and do this. And of course, you can put it flat and then strop it. There's great videos on that. But definitely, if you get a set of these, you're paying less than 50 bucks for a set of 3 tools. I'm sure this one's going to be great, but again, I'll get back to you guys on that when I actually have the time and the daylight to work on that. They do come in this nice little case, which I'm going to fold these up in and put them back in this box because it's a nice little box. I actually expected a bigger box, but this will work out well. The box actually shows different projects you can work on. I mean, those are some cool looking cups. And yeah, it's got a 10-year guarantee from the original purchase date. And of course, there's like a support team. There's a QR code where there's a bunch of different projects you can look up. I'm going to take care of these tools. I'm going to sharpen them, strop them, do all that stuff, and not let my son play with these things because holy crap, man, these things are sharp. And once I resharpen them, they're going to be just as sharp, hopefully maybe sharper. And it's good when doing your woodwork that you have a nice sharp knife or sharp knives. It's even crucial because if you don't, it can skip, it can catch on things. And that's why the damage I put on the edge of this thing, I got to be careful, you know. That's why right now I'm using like, you know, the last inch of the blade to do my carving as the night went on. Now, I'm being kind of dumb. This right here, I have a lot more to remove from this. I could have used the saw. I could do things differently. I'm just kind of like getting my feel for this blade. I've basically been kind of whittling away here. And again, this is a hard wood. It's not tiger stripe maple, but it's definitely figured maple. And this is a hard piece. I've actually had this for a few years. So it's definitely plenty dry. It was dry before I got it. So, so yeah, woodworking is fun, but you better be careful because you can get seriously hurt if you're not being careful. That's why my son is he's not touching these until he is older, has better control, until I can teach him how to sharpen a knife. I gotta be very careful because, you know, here's why. If you're carving like this, if you go, if it skips, if you don't keep it sharp, imagine you don't keep this thing sharp, and you're doing this, and you go, oh, aggressive, and it catches on something, you pull. Well, it's gonna be sharp enough to maybe cut your nose off. Okay, this guy, I mean, this is a scary knife. Okay, how sharp it comes. I mean, I barely touch my finger with this thing. I mean, it's as sharp as any razor from the Milwaukee brand, okay? Like and then some. Like I think they did a better job sharpening this, to be completely honest. And those Milwaukee blades are pretty sharp, okay? I use them all the time, not just at work, but for my projects. I've done so for years. So just imagine going, you know, just cutting your own nose off with this thing, with either of these, okay? I can imagine just if you're not careful, if you're just not careful, you can get yourself with these things. So I'm gonna play with these more. I'm gonna sharpen them. I'm gonna get more skilled. I'm gonna get a better setup. Of course, as the projects go on, as I'm using these things, I will show you guys how far and how well I've gotten on with these things. But and yeah, so there'll be further reviews on this, but so far I'm impressed. I just want to make a bowl now using this thing, but I need to get a block of wood. I have some wood. This club right here is made out of supposedly Australian willow, which is not an indigenous wood to the United States, but it's still making a pretty decent ball war club. I still got to thin it out though, significantly in some spots, or plane it down. And that'll be a different video when I explain, once I get this thing further worked on, I will show you guys kind of what I did, how I did it. And I might use a piece of that same willow to make a bowl. We'll see. It kind of depends. I'll do some research and see if it's a good wood for that purpose, because not all woods are good for everything. Like red oak, these little tiny spoons I made. This is leftover material from a gun stock club. I bought a $30 piece of red oak to make a couple gun stock clubs, and this is leftover material. I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and try to make a, make a little spoon out of it. Make a couple spoons out of these guys. Why waste the material, right? We're gonna see. I'm gonna have to oil these things down once I actually get them sanded and fully cleaned up, because red oak is not the best in water. So if you're eating with these things, you better treat it with linseed oil or something. Okay, but it's just me playing around with these. So maple, white oak. White oak is more resilient against water, I've noticed. Hickory, which no one makes spoons out of hickory, but if you did, mahogany is good. Don't use walnut because it actually is kind of toxic. Don't make your cutting boards out of walnut because it's kind of toxic. And people just didn't know that. People aren't talking about that, but it's true. Maple is a good clean wood to use though. So use maple. But it's hard, but it's really good. Okay. If I could have made this club out of a piece of sugar maple, I would prefer to do so, because one, it's indigenous, and two, it's probably better wood. Okay. And three, I just love maple. All right. So it's good wood. So yeah, more to come on my this is a part one. I'm not sure when part two is going to happen. It could be a year from now. It could be a few weeks from now. I don't know, but I'll do another review because this is a cool little set. I might, in the meantime though, get the other set with the sharper tip on the hook knife, and then I might do a review of that. So stay tuned for those. Stay tuned for more. And if you have experience with BeaverCraft knives, feel free to leave comments. Leave comments anyway, obviously, but give us your perspective if you've had the opportunity to work with these, because they're nice. There's another company called Garrett Wade. I've considered getting some of their blades, some of their tools, but all in time. I'm kind of on a budget, and I can't afford to spend tons of money on this stuff. But $44 for a set with free shipping and a 10-year warranty, that doesn't sound too bad. So obviously I'd prefer made in the US, but if the product is good, it kind of doesn't matter where it's made. So so yeah, I would definitely recommend getting these. This is definitely a good set of knives. They're fun. But I also recommend that, if possible, get yourself a proper wooden table with a vise attached to it. And then you're not holding on to this with one hand and the knife with the other. Okay? Just be careful. Definitely proceed with caution. But if you have experience with blades and you have at least a moderate setup, or at least you're semi-confident as I am, go ahead and buy a set. It's not expensive, you know, and yeah, definitely worth the money. Definitely comes completely sharp out of the box. Holy crap, dude. Okay, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night.